Okay, Chapter 8, Lesson 4 is on surface area of cylinders. So before we get into surface area of cylinders, let's talk just about what surface area is. So surface area, it's not really a trick name here, it's the area of all the surfaces put together. So most oftentimes, you may think about like wrapping Christmas presents that are in a nice easy box. And so it would be the area of all the sides, right? Top, bottom, left, right, front, back, so six sides. So the area of all of those added together. That's what surface area is. Now, what if you had something that you wrap for Christmas that's not in a nice rectangular or prism shape? Then that's whenever you talk about surface area of cylinders. So let's do that. Let's move on. So if we talk about the surface area of a cylinder, there are really two different kinds of surface area. One's kind of dependent upon the other. So there are total surface area, which basically is the area of all the surfaces added together. That's what you're most familiar with. And then they have something called lateral surface area. Lateral surface area is just the area of all the sides. So in this cylinder that's right here, if I wanted to find total surface area, I would find the area of the top and bottom circle. And then I would find the area of all of this blue, all of that curved that's along the side, and then add them all together. Now, what if I just want to know the lateral surface area? Then that's just talking about the ones on the side, not including the top and bottom. So that is the difference. Please make sure you know that difference. So lateral, sides only. And total surface area is all of it put together. Top, bottom, and sides. Doesn't really look like sides. So top, bottom, sides would give you total surface area. Okay, so let's now talk about how we're actually going to find these. So top and bottom, if I want to know the surface area of something, top and bottom, pretty easy. It's just the area of a circle. And remember the formula for the area of a circle, if you don't know it already. Formula for the area of a circle, pi times radius squared. Area is equal to pi times radius squared. So 3.14 times radius, that will give you the area of that circle. Now, since they are cylinders, whatever the top is, the bottom is. So there's no sense in finding that calculation twice. You can just write it down twice. Okay? So if we are talking about the lateral surface area, so the area of this blue right here. Now, whenever you're talking about a cylinder and you have all of this curved part right here, it would be hard to actually get any kind of measurements on it. So think about, what if this were like a paper towel holder, like the cardboard inside? And what if I took it and took a pair of scissors and just took a slice right down that and unrolled it? And if you unroll it, basically what happens, this is what you get, right? So if you take a tube, cut it down one side and unroll it, kind of like if you take a piece of paper and you roll it up to make a circle, and then if you were to unroll it, what would you have? You'd still have the same rectangle, all right? So the height of the rectangle is just the height of the cylinder. That part isn't changing. This part, however, is a little bit more difficult to find because this part, think about it, whenever it was rolled up, where was it? It was all of this part right here. So what do we call that? The distance around a circle. That's the circumference. All right, so the circumference of the circle actually ends up being this length right here. Okay, so you've got the height. Now you need the length, base times width. Sorry, base times height, length times width, however you want to say it. So the height you would know from however tall the cylinder is. And then if you were to cut it and unroll it, you need this part right here to find the area of that rectangle. And that length right there is the same as the circumference of that circle. All right, so we're going to have to use some formulas here. The formula for circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. 2 pi r. Or if they give you the diameter, it's just pi d. Now, what's the difference in the two? Well, they both have pi in them. right? So that part didn't change. They both have pi. But the only part that's different is that this one has, let's see a different color here. This one has 2 and an r, and this one just has a d. Well, 2 radii, 2r, isn't that the same thing as a diameter? Sure. So these two are exactly the same, just depends on whichever one you like to remember, or maybe whichever dimension they give you. So let's put all that together, and let's try a few, shall we? Oh yes, pick me, I want to. I knew it. Knew it. Let's look at example 1. Find the surface area of the cylinder. Now, if it doesn't say total surface area, or it doesn't say lateral surface area, you assume that it's total. You assume it's all of it, because it just wants the surface area, which is the area of all surfaces. So, I oftentimes tell people to remember this. TBS, kind of like the television station. This stands for area of the top, area of the bottom, and then area of the sides. All right, so area of the top, let's deal with that first. Area of the top, it is a circle. So area is equal to pi times radius squared. And remember our order of operations, we do have to square things before we can take and multiply it. So I'm going to square the radius. The radius is 2. And I'm going to take that times 3.14. So 2 times 2, multiplication first, oops, times 3.14. That is 12.56. That's the top. Try not to round until the very end. Put all your numbers there. So 12.56, if that's the top, that's also the same as the bottom. 12.56. Now, how would I find the area of the sides? If I cut that right here and unrolled it, I would end up with a rectangle that looks like this. How tall would it be? It would be 7 meters. It's a 6, by the way. That would be a 7 meters. Now, this, let me put this on it. This side right here is the same as this right here. If I'm going to cut it right there and unroll it, this top part that used to form a circle, unrolled, is that right there. So I have to find the circumference of the circle. So circumference is pi times diameter, or 2 pi r, however you want to say it. So they give me the radius, so let's just go ahead and use the radius. So I'm going to take 2 times 3.14, so 2 times pi times radius, and the radius is 2. So that means this dimension right here happens to be 12.56. Now, that looks a little funny only because it happens to be 2, and 2 squared is the same thing as 2 times 2, because don't just think it's always the same as this, because it doesn't work that way. All right, so just that dimension is 12.56. You have to then take it to find the area of this total piece right here, length times width. So I'm going to take my 12.56 and take it times 7. That gives me 87.92, and I'm going to add to that 12.56 for the top plus 12.56 from the bottom. My total surface area, rounded to the nearest tenth, 113. I would say 113. I know here in the book they have 113.1, but again, they used a different pi than we did. I would say for r's rounded to the nearest tenth, it would be 113. Now this is area. So what is area? Square. Yep, so you could say 113 square meters, or 113 meters squared, however you want to say it. Okay, let's have you pause and try one. Again, if you are not pausing and trying this, you are only hurting yourself, I promise. All right, so let's have you do A. Okay, let's find the surface area. Does not say lateral, so we assume it's total. Let's get a nice little red pen here. So I want to know the top, the bottom, and the sides. So the area of the top is the area of that circle. So that is pi times radius, which happens to be 3, squared. So I need 9, which is 3 squared, times 3.14. That's my area of the top, which is 28.6. Sorry, 28.26. Pen's not cooperating today. 28. Maybe it's my hand. I don't know. 28.26, 28.26. That's what we've got going on there. So now we need the lateral surface area for the sides, which the height of it is going to be 9. Well, that can't be the height, it's laying down. Well, the height is measured if you stand it end on end. All right, so it's going to have to be standing on one of these circles in order to get the height anyway. So really what you're looking at is a shape that kind of looks like this. Don't judge. So 9 would be here. So now we need to find this. We need to find this one right here, because that is, whenever we unroll it, that's the length. Okay, so if we want to know that, that is the circumference, which is, we know the radius is 3. So I'm talking about 2 times pi times r. 2 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 3. So 18.84 is just this. That is not the sides. That is just that length right there. You then have to take that times 9 in order to get all of that inside of here. If I want to know that area, I have to take 18.84 times 9. I get 169.56. So I'm going to take my 169.56. That's the area of the sides. That's the lateral surface area. And I'm going to add the tops and the bottoms. So plus 28.26 plus 28.26. I get 226.08. So rounded to the nearest tenth, 226.1. Now these are feet, so square feet. All right. If you wish to try the second one, you may. Let me provide you with an answer. They, of course, use the pi button, and they got 747.7 centimeters squared. Okay. Let's move on to number 2. A circular fence that is 2 feet high is to be built around the outside of a carousel. The distance from the center of the carousel to the edge of the fence will be 35 feet. What is the area of fencing material that is needed to make the fence around the carousel? So, pretend this shape right here is the carousel. Here's what they are saying. They want a fence around it. They don't want a fence covering the top, do they? Do they need a fence covering underneath the carousel? No. So really they are just wanting the lateral surface area. So it just wants a fence that is 2 feet high. So not even really all the lateral surface area. You just need to know, just if they only want it 2 feet high, they really want it kind of like this. Okay? But we do need part of the lateral surface area is what we need, but just part of it. So what does that mean? That means that you are going to need which measurement of the circle? Right, you're going to need the circumference of the circle. So we are going to need the circumference of the circle, which is 2 pi r. 2 pi r, the radius it tells you right here. If it says from the center to the edge, that's the radius. So 2 times pi times 35. That gives you the circumference of that circle. Right? The distance around. So 2 times pi times 35. Calculator, please. 2 times pi times 35. It gives you the circumference of that, which is 219.8. I then need to know that that is 2 feet high. So if I unroll that out, if this is 219.8, and we know that it's 2 feet high, I should be able to find the area of that fencing material by multiplying this by 2. 439.6, they have 439.8, and that's the difference in our pi. All right? So let's have you try one of these before we call it a day. All right. Pause and try, I don't know, let's pause and try D. I'll give you the answer to C in just a minute, but let's pause and try D. All right, find the total surface area of a cylindrical candle with a diameter of 4 inches and a height of 2.5 inches, round to the nearest tenth. So total surface area, top, bottom, sides. Get my pen back here. Top, bottom, sides. Area of the top is pi times radius squared. It says the diameter is 4, so make sure you catch that. It's pi times radius, which is 2, squared, so it's not 4 squared. All right, so we've got 3.14 times 4, which is 2 squared. I get 12.56. It's a popular number today. Bottom is 12.56. Now, a height is 2.5 inches. So we know that the height of the lateral, right? Height is 2.5. This we need, which is 2 times pi times r. So we need 2 times 3.14 times radius is 2. Back to my calculator. 2 times 3.14 times 2. Back to my 12.56. Whoops. 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 Is that my area? Nope. Very common mistake to happen. So make sure you're paying attention to what we're doing. What is that 12.56? That's just this dimension right here. We now have to take that in order to find this area. We now have to take that times 2.5. So lots of steps here. That tells me that my lateral surface area is 31.4. Add those together. 31.4 plus 12.56 plus 12.56 equals 56.52. 56.52. So I would just say 0.5. Now what are these? Inches squared. All right, and if you tried C using the pi button, you would have calculated 92.9 centimeters squared. Okay, so with that, that is the end of this lesson. You can go ahead and try some of the practice problems if you wish. Bring them to me if you want me to check them. Other than that, you should be good. Just remember your formulas. Please make sure you keep them straight between the area and circumference of a circle and when you need what. So take notes. Come see me if you have questions. Good luck.